IAmLegend by Richard Matheson. Introduction to Robert Neville's Solitude. The novel begins by introducing Robert Neville as the last human survivor in a post-apocalyptic world overrun by vampires. Neville spends his days scavenging for supplies and fortifying his home against nightly attacks from the vampire horde. Neville's routine and struggles. Neville's daily routine involves gathering garlic, repairing his home's defenses, and hunting vampires during the day. He struggles with loneliness and memories of his wife and daughter, who succumbed to the pandemic. Flashbacks to the pandemic. Through Neville's recollections, readers learn about the outbreak that led to the downfall of humanity. The pandemic spread rapidly, turning most people into vampires, and Neville's futile attempts to save his family. Neville's experimentation. Driven by a desperate need to find a cure, Neville conducts experiments on infected vampires. He captures them, studies their behavior, and searches for scientific explanations behind their condition. Encounter with Ruth. Neville encounters Ruth, a seemingly normal woman who claims to be part of a group of survivors. Initially suspicious, Neville grapples with conflicting emotions as he navigates trust and companionship in a desolate world. Revelation about Ruth and the survivors. Neville discovers that Ruth and the survivors are a new breed of vampires who have developed immunity to the virus. They see Neville as a threat to their existence and plan to eliminate him. Neville's last stand. As Neville fights for survival against the vampire society, he realizes the futility of his existence. Despite his efforts to find a cure and preserve humanity, he faces defeat and confronts his mortality in a final, desperate stand. Sacrifice and redemption. In a climactic moment, Neville sacrifices himself to save Ruth and the surviving vampires from the wrath of their kind. His act of redemption marks the end of his solitary struggle and symbolizes the hope for a new beginning. Legacy of Robert Neville. Neville's legacy lives on through his sacrifice and the possibility of a new society emerging from the ashes of the old world. His story becomes a legend among the surviving vampires, who reflect on the complexities of humanity and survival. Reflections on humanity and isolation. The novel concludes with reflections on the nature of humanity, isolation, and the enduring resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity. It leaves readers pondering the boundaries between civilization and savagery in a world devoid of humanity's defining traits. In IAmLegend by Richard Matheson, the conclusion reveals Neville's sacrifice for Ruth and the surviving vampires. His act marks the transition from despair to redemption, leaving behind a legacy of hope amidst the post-apocalyptic world. The novel prompts reflection on the nature of humanity, isolation, and the enduring resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity.